Merry Christmas from Get Your Mind Right. Folks, we got a special treat for you today. The good folks who produce my podcast said that I need to do a best of episode replay for today. So I said, okay, which one is it? And they said, you know what? That's on you. You pick out the one that resonated with you the most, the one you had the most fun doing. So this was an easy choice for me. This is back from July and it's called the Cowboy Code. Now, hopefully you'll have some great takeaways from this. I know I got a lot out of putting it together, and as you will find out, there's a lot of personal things in there and great memories that still resonate with me today. I hope you enjoy it, and thanks for tuning in.
Welcome to Get Your Mind Right, the podcast where merchant services, digital marketing, and personal growth collide. Tune in for real talk, fresh insights, and the motivation to level up.
This is from a huddle given in its entirety to the Evolv sales group in our morning huddle on June 12th. I hope you enjoy it. This continues our series of our 2025 theme of doubling your production. Now we've got, if you missed these first two, you can go back and pick them up and stay with me during the summer and the fall and to the end of the year to get you through this. But let's focus on today, the Cowboy Code. And I'm going to give you a little warning here. You're going to meet a lot of new people, starting with Orvon Grover, Gene Autry. Now, Autry was the OG singing cowboy, but he was not your ordinary singing cowboy. No, Autry was a pioneer, an entrepreneur, and a brand builder who transformed Western entertainment into big business. Now, born in 1907 in Texas and raised in Oklahoma, he started off as a railroad telegrapher, strumming his guitar between shifts. A chance encounter with Will Rogers led him to radio, which launched a career that would span music, film, television, and professional sports. No one knows who I'm talking about. I will tell you more. Autry built a virtual business empire across multiple industries. In music, Autry became country music's first multi-million selling artist in 1932. Until then, country music was a localized genre. Gene Autry is credited for nationalizing modern country music. He was a TV and movie star, appearing in over 90 films, also bringing the singing cowboy to American homes and becoming a household name. And about that business empire that Autry built, he founded Challenge Records, owned radio and TV stations, and became a sports magnate as owner of the California Angels. Now, Autry's business acumen extended far beyond entertainment, turned his name into a national brand that lasted decades beyond his career. Still, no one knows who I'm talking about. Well, Gene Autry is a member of not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, but 7 Halls of Fame. His first, he was inducted in 1969 to the Country Music Hall of Fame in Nashville, Tennessee. The very next year, he was inducted as a member of the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame. In 1979, he was selected for the Hall of Fame of the Pro Rodeo. And in 1980, he was inducted in the National Cowboy and Western Hall of Fame. In 1982, he got a big one. He was enshrined in Cooperstown, New York, as a member of the Baseball Hall of Fame, followed by, in 1988, his induction to the Television Hall of Fame. Now, Gene Autry is the only person to have 5 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, one in each category of radio, recording, motion pictures, television, and live performance. Still haven't heard of him? Well, let's try his music, because if you go to a karaoke bar and an old-timer hits the stage, you may hear Don't Fence Me In, or Back in the Saddle, which is Autry's signature song. Or you may know him for his Christmas standards, for which he's still famous for, including Frosty the Snowman, Here Comes Santa Claus, and his certified smash hit, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, one of the best-selling singles of all time. Well, how did things turn out for Autry? At the time of his death in 1998, Gene Autry's net worth was $320 million, equivalent to about $500 million in today's list. So you compare him to some of the other titans on this list, it's pretty heady company. We've got the inventor of Star Wars. We've got the king of pop, Michael Jackson, a former Beatle, and Oprah Winfrey. He was 6th on the net money list. Now, his net worth was also greater than comedy titans, Bill Cosby and Jerry Seinfeld, even worth more than the Material Girl herself. Now, I'm telling you all this because Autry's story is not just a cowboy story. It's a story of a man who turned Western grit into big business and a name that still stands for something today. Okay, by now you're probably saying, okay, Johnson, you made your point. I get it. I now know who the guy is. He was successful. He made a lot of money. So what? Well, meet my parents, Johnny Lynn Johnson and the former Luanna Garrett. Now, you'll notice that my dad is packing the iconic Daisy Red Ryder BB gun and sporting a coonskin cap. If you've never heard of a coonskin cap, it is worth you Googling. Now, like most people on this call, I got plenty of pop culture references from my parents when I was a kid. And like most people on this call, I could not have possibly cared less. Now, in the winter where I grew up, on early weekend mornings, a local TV station aired a cowboy movie theater. These are old black and white westerns where the good guy always wore a white hat and rode tall in the saddle. Mom and Dad loved those movies. And so since there was one TV in the house and Dad controlled the channel, it was either watch these movies or nothing at all. Now, as a kid, I didn't care about Gene Autry. Didn't know who he was, didn't want to know who he was. But by a wide margin, Gene Autry was the favorite cowboy of both Mom and Dad. Why? Well, because they grew up listening to Gene Autry's Melody Ranch radio show. Now, this is a Google Maps view of Poseyville, Indiana, population 2,200. My parents grew up on farms about 5 miles away. By 1950, the time frame of the pictures I just showed you, my folks that were taken, Mom and Dad were 8 years old and old enough to be dropped off at the local theater, shown here. Theater closed in the late 1950s, but I was born long enough ago to visit Harold's Restaurant that you see on the left of the theater and Lockwood's on the right. Lockwood's was a grocery and dry goods store. They also had a great shoe selection, so every year at the end of the summer, Mom and I would make a trip to Lockwood's to buy my good pair of school shoes for the year. Now, Mom and Dad went into this theater and pay a dime to see the latest Gene Autry movie. I know this because every time a Gene Autry film came on the morning theater, I heard the paid a dime story again and again and again and again. The Gene Autry talk was frequent enough that at some point I asked my grandparents about him. All three of them had no ambivalence. They liked Gene Autry a lot. Meet my paternal grandmother, Marjorie Davis Johnson. She was better known as Granny to me and her other 8 grandchildren. My friends, my sister's friends, and my cousin's friends also called her Granny. That was her name. Now, Granny was born a couple years before the outbreak of World War I into bone-crushing poverty and came of age during the Great Depression. She was a thoroughly modern, tough, and liberated woman. She had fiery red hair, massive energy, an insane work ethic, loved jokes, loved pranks, and possessed a wicked sense of humor. A woman of verve and style, you'll notice that Granny is wearing bejeweled horn-rimmed glasses. Once again, the horn-rimmed glasses were iconic to that era. I thought and still think that horn-rimmed glasses are nothing short of awful. Now, Granny, she was opinionated and vocal, but she was particularly effusive about Autry. Gene Autry was fantastic, she would say. She called him a national hero and one of the greatest Americans. Oh, by the way, the little guy in the photo here, that's me. This photo was taken about 2 months after my 2nd birthday. But, back to Granny, I never really thought about her strong feelings about Gene Autry till I started putting together this huddle for you. Now, we all have our sports stars, our entertainers, and our singers that we really like, but terms like my granny used, like great American and national hero, they're on a different level. The folks pictured here, they certainly have huge followings. They're admired, but practically no one would ascribe the words national hero or great American to them. In today's world, I can't think of any sports star or entertainment person that even would approach that galaxy. Now, I didn't grow up with Gene Autry, obviously, but my parents did. They paid a dime to see his movies. They listened to his voice on the radio. And when they talked to me about Gene Autry, it's never just about the songs of the cowboy hat. It's about what he stood for. My parents and grandparents remembered him because he made right and wrong simple. Because he lived by a code and he taught others to do the same thing. And that stuck with them, and through me, it stuck with me. So, by 1942, Gene Autry was more than a star. He was a role model. Millions of children tuned into his weekly radio show, Melody Ranch. And with that kind of platform came influence, and Autry knew it. He felt a deep responsibility to do more than entertain. He chose to lead. The world was at war. America was at war. Cultural values were under enormous pressure. The American way of life faced an existential threat. Country needed anchors, and Autry decided to step up. He introduced the Cowboy Code, a 10-point set of moral guidelines that every young cowboy and every young cowgirl could live by. For Autry, this wasn't a gimmick. It was a statement of purpose. If he's going to profit from influence, he was going to use it for good. Autry believed that the code should transcend entertainment. It was designed to be more than something kids heard on the radio. It was meant to become part of how they acted at home, at school, and in life. It was simple, direct, and timeless. So, the Cowboy Code: never shoot first, hit a smaller man, or take unfair advantage. What this meant was to be strong, but never a bully. Just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. Use your strength wisely. Your job is to make things right, not to take advantage. Stand tall, but stand fair. Never go back on your word or a trust confided in you. If someone puts their trust in you, do everything you can to live up to it. Your word is your bond, period. Always tell the truth, even when it's tough, even when it's inconvenient. The truth isn't always easy, but it's always right. Folks can handle the truth. What they can't handle is being misled. Be gentle with children, the elderly, and animals, because how a man treats the defenseless says more about him than how he treats his boss. Gentleness is not weakness, it's control, it's honor, it's understanding your size, your volume, your impact, and choosing to be kind anyway. Do not advocate or possess racially or religiously intolerant ideas. Now, deep down, Autry believed that we're all children of God. It matters not your color, your background, your faith. Hatred never built anything worth keeping. Respect and decency are non-negotiable. Help people in distress. Step in, step up, be useful. If someone's car's stuck, you get out and you give them a push. You don't have to fix everything, but you owe it to do something. Be a good worker, earn it every day. You get up early, you do your job, you do it again tomorrow. The work is the work. You show up, you stay humble, and put your name on something that you can be proud of. Keep yourself clean in thought, speech, action, personal habits. People are always watching. They're watching how you carry yourself, how you talk, and how you treat others. If you keep your mind, your action, and your habits clean, you definitely will not have to clean up messes later. Respect women, parents, and the law. Women deserve dignity. Parents deserve gratitude, and the law deserves obedience. Decency doesn't cost a thing, and it never goes out of style. Honor the principles and the people that have shaped you. And last, but certainly not least, be a patriot. The United States isn't perfect, but it's ours, and it's our home, and it's worth standing up for. Being a patriot isn't about slogans or parades. It's about giving back, doing right, and keeping faith with the people who built it. Love your country, defend what matters. Now, no idle talker, Autry walked the walk. A few months after introducing the Cowboy Code, Autry enlisted in the Army Air Forces, the forerunner to the modern United States Air Force. Now, do the quick math on this. Autry was 35 years old and not only volunteered for service, but walked away from the height of his stardom and earning power to take an extremely dangerous job flying missions over the Himalayas. Can you think of any modern sports star or entertainer that would make such a move? A beautiful tree is dependent upon its unseen root system as its foundation. The Cowboy Code required a foundation. At a time when the world was full of moral gray areas, the Cowboy Code gave families something clear and powerful to stand on. It provided a moral anchor in turbulent times. It provided a behavioral blueprint for everyday living. And it provided a reminder that character counts. Now, Autry didn't just talk about these principles, he lived them. He knew that kids were watching him, and he chose to give them more than entertainment. He gave them a moral compass. And today, that compass still points true for anyone trying to lead, sell, serve, or build something that lasts. So, why did the Cowboy Code matter? Well, it's easy to recite a code. It's a whole lot harder to live by it. And in Gene Autry's case, it took real courage to even say it out loud. In 1942, when Autry introduced the Cowboy Code on his national radio show, the United States was a very, very different place. Women were still 20 years away from equal rights legislation. Minorities faced systemic segregation, exclusion, and daily injustices. And religious intolerance, especially against Jews and Catholics, was common and often accepted. Yet at the height of his fame, Gene Autry stood up and said, the cowboy must not advocate or possess racially or religiously intolerant ideas. Let's pause here. 1942, these were not mainstream talking points. They were quietly avoided or openly resisted, but rarely embraced publicly. When they heard about this, Autry's management team went ballistic. Are you crazy? Have you lost your mind? You are actively alienating a measurable part of your audience. This will likely cost you your career. The cowboy must not advocate or possess racially or religiously intolerant ideas. Well, let's pause here for a minute. 1942, these were not mainstream talking points. They were quietly avoided or openly resisted, but rarely embraced publicly. Autry's management team, when they learned about this, went ballistic. Are you crazy? Have you lost your mind? You are actively alienating a measurable part of your audience. This will likely cost you your career. Now, Gene Autry could have listened to them. He could have played it safe. He was already king of the Western world in movies, music, merchandise. He had nothing to gain, but everything to lose by rocking the boat. But he didn't stay silent. Instead, he used his platform to model decency, set standards, and speak to millions of kids and families with values that challenged the norm. This was the opposite of a celebrity move like you might see today. This was moral leadership. Autry knew that he was shaping culture, not just entertaining it. And instead of chasing applause and money, Autry chased what was right. This moral courage, it made him more than famous. It made him trusted. It didn't matter what you looked like or where you went to church or how much money your family had. When Gene Autry came on the radio with the big screen, parents let their kids tune in because they trusted him. And when you're trusted across race lines, across ages, across backgrounds, that is power. That is legacy. Now, the irony, Autry took a courageous stand at great personal risk, and it paid off big time. His moral stance didn't just maintain his reputation, it supercharged his career, launching him into a new echelon of superstardom and establishing him as a cultural icon. Autry extended his fan base to minorities and non-Protestant Americans. He expanded his already famous name from farmlands to city blocks, from Catholic homes to Jewish synagogues, from Black neighborhoods in Chicago to small towns in the South. And not just with kids, but with adults. Guess what? American adults thought the Cowboy Code held water. Turns out doing the right thing isn't just good for the soul, it's good for business. So let's fast forward to today. The world looks a lot different from 1942. But the confusion, the distractions, the noise, it's louder than ever. We live in a world that's digitally connected, but morally unclear. It's fast-paced, but short on principles. It's full of information, but starved for direction and wisdom. And in business, we face competitors that cut corners, prospects who don't trust easily, and colleagues who are sometimes uncommitted, unsure, or just coasting. So what do? Well, we do what Gene Autry did. We bring clarity, not chaos. We bring standards, not shortcuts. We stand for something. Now, in a chaotic business environment, people are looking for certainty. In a crowded field, merchants are looking for authenticity. In a world full of noise, they will follow that person with the code, the one who walks in with confidence and clarity and delivers. The Cowboy Code provides you both edge and anchor. Edge, because it separates you from the lazy, the shady, and the unprepared, and anchor, because it keeps you grounded when the times get tough or deals aren't coming easily. On their face, the following principles seem obvious, but ask yourself, in your business life, do you call out disrespect when you see it? Do you stand up for the overlooked, whether it's a struggling merchant, quiet teammate, or someone being underestimated? You carry yourself with that kind of courage in how you speak, act, and serve. The Cowboy Code is just not about character in the quiet moments. It's about conviction in the loud ones. And that's where leadership lives. Cowboy Code was built for a different time, but its principles are timeless. In the world of modern business, we need that same clarity, that same integrity, and that same grit. We don't ride horses, we ride the phone. We don't roam the range, we roam the Zoom. We ride into merchant meetings armed with solutions. And you know what? We ride with the code, the Evolv Cowboy Code. Starting with the Evolv Cowboy always tells the truth. In a world full of overpromising and fine print, truth is the real differentiator. Merchants just don't need a pitch, they need a partner. And that leads us to the Evolv Cowboy's word is his bond. Follow up, follow through. If you say you'll call, call. If you promise a proposal, it goes out. Trust is your currency. Honor your commitments. Now, the Evolv Cowboy doesn't waste time on excuses. She rides into action. Is your pipeline weak? Make the calls, build it. Is your merchant hesitant? Ask better questions. Practice what you do. Did you miss your number this month? Adjust and charge forward. The Evolv Cowboy protects his clients and his team. Look out for your merchants. Look out for your teammates. Help them grow. Help them win. Never let a competitor outwork you. Now, speaking of working hard, the Evolv Cowboy works hard, but she also works smart. Don't just chase deals. Maximize your book. Use tools like bundling, buyer's choice, and digital audits to increase revenue without doubling your effort. And like Gene Autry, the Evolv Cowboy keeps himself clean in thought, speech, action, and habits. Why? Because your name is your brand. Are you known for being sharp, prepared, and professional? Or are you just sliding by? Evolv Cowboys ride clean. The Evolv Cowboy stays sharp, stays prepared, and stays in the fight. Know your pitch, know your pricing, know your competitive edge, know your service. The best reps train, refine, and stay ahead of the market. The Evolv Cowboy respects their parents, people of other beliefs, and the law. Respect is not just manners. It's how you carry yourself in the field, on Zoom, in emails, and on every deal. Respect opens doors. And the Evolv Cowboy never, ever, ever lets a competitor outwork her. Someone trying to flip your merchant, get in front of it. Offer value, lock in loyalty. And last but certainly not least is the Evolv Cowboy plays to win. You should be here not to see what happens. You should be here to win it. You should be here to be the best version of you. Set goals, track them, and crush them. Folks, this is the Evolv Cowboy Code. It's not just about looking the part. It's about living the part. Every deal, every day, every call. Now, before we ride, and we are going to ride, let's talk about our foundation in 2025, an American exceptionalism. Now, as an American, I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm spoiled. I was born into an exceptional country where exceptional people do exceptional things on a daily basis. Now, this affects my expectations of things, both big and small. For example, I find myself watching curling in the Winter Olympics and being a little bit perturbed that the United States can't beat some little tiny country like Norway for a gold medal. It's borderline ridiculous. Now, the question here, though, is what makes America different? Well, it's not geography. It's not luck. It's not our gross domestic product. It's this. We are a nation built on standards, a bold vision, and the unshakable belief that ordinary people can do extraordinary things if they have a code to live by and a reason to charge forward. Gene Autry understood these things. He didn't take a survey. He didn't form a focus group. He looked at the world, he looked at himself, and he said, here's what I believe, and here's how I'm going to live. That is the American spark, a code, a purpose, a belief that your name should stand for something. Let's fast forward 2 decades. The United States was facing yet another existential crisis, this time in the form of a nuclear threat from the Soviet Union. When the Soviets launched their first rockets into space, demonstrating their technological superiority, it shook America to its core. President John F. Kennedy responded. He didn't say, hey, let's catch up to the Russians. He did not say, well, let's improve space travel. He said, we're going to be on the surface of the moon in 10 years. Now, that was a big, hairy, audacious goal before anyone called it that. America was not ready. We did not have the rockets. We did not have the technology. But we had belief, grit, and an American cowboy code that said, if you give us a mission, we'll find a way. And 8 years later, we did it. American exceptionalism was on full display. The United States landed a man on the moon. And while we're on the subject of rockets, in 2011, NASA retired the Space Shuttle program. And with it, America lost the ability to send its own astronauts into space. For the first time in history, the country that put a man on the moon was paying Russia to ferry its astronauts to the International Space Station. Now think about that. America, the nation that had once dominated the space race, was now dependent on another country to get its people to and from space. For nearly a decade, this was the status quo. Our astronauts launched from foreign soil and splashed down in foreign waters. Meet Elon Musk. Musk was not a NASA engineer. He was not a decorated astronaut. He was a Silicon Valley magnate with a wild dream and relentless drive. Musk believed that America should be able to send its own people into space. And he wasn't just going to talk about it, he was going to do it. People said he was reckless. They said he was dreaming. They said he was a fool for trying to do what entire nations could not. But Musk kept on pushing. In May 2020, he did it. SpaceX launched 2 NASA astronauts from American soil on an American rocket. It's the first time in nearly a decade that American astronauts launched without having to hitch a ride with Russia. Meet American astronauts Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore. In June 2024, they embarked on a short mission to the International Space Station aboard the Boeing Starliner spacecraft. However, they encountered technical difficulties during the flight, causing NASA to determine that the Starliner was not safe for returning the astronauts to Earth. NASA decided that the Starliner should return to Earth empty, leaving Williams and Wilmore stranded aboard the ISS for the remainder of their shift. As it turned out, there was nothing short at all about their mission. Enter Elon Musk. His company coordinated with NASA, and after being stuck for 286 days, SpaceX safely returned Wilmore and Williams to American soil. Butch Wilmore personally thanked Elon Musk and Donald Trump for their leadership and was quick to point out that his faith in God sustained him throughout the ordeal. So, what's this all about? Well, I'm going to tell you what it's not about. It's not about rockets. It's not about rodeos. This is about how you show up for work every day. It's your attitude. It's your work and in your goals. This is about American exceptionalism. This is about you. This is about the American legacy that has been handed to you. You didn't do anything to earn this legacy. You're born with it. Don't squander it. Are you the kind of rep who waits for someone to hand you a deal? Do you need someone to call you? Do you need a layup? Are you coasting? Or do your colleagues look to you as an inspirational example? Do they look to you for advice? Do you complain or just jump over hurdles and problems as if they're not even there? Did you have a place on the stage at Summit 2025? Are you on track to be on the stage for Summit 2026? Now, at the end of the day, are you the kind who writes your own Cowboy Code, who sets your own moonshot, and performs like someone who believes that exceptional is just not possible but expected? You hold yourself to high and exceptional performance. Well, here are my closing thoughts, folks. Gene Autry, he played the long game. He understood that trust, work ethic, and that a clear vision are what separates the good from the great. He knew that the Cowboy Code just wasn't about rules. It's about identity. Autry gave people something to follow, and he backed it up with how he lived, how he worked, and how he led. In 1942, Autry asked himself what kind of example he wanted to be. The answer was the Cowboy Code, and he lived by it. What about you? Do you have a code? Do people know what you stand for? Do your merchants, your peers, your team, do they see you as a leader or a bystander? Are you blazing a trail or are you biding your time? Do your habits match your goals? Do you handle your career with principle? Well, I can tell you that Autry believed, Kennedy believed, Musk believed, and they did more than just talk. They acted, they led, they set a standard. Now, you work for a company that was built on performance and celebrates achievement. Never forget that performance without principle is empty. The Cowboy Code, at the end of the day, it isn't about nostalgia. It's about leadership. And leadership never goes out of fashion, never goes out of style. To do this, you don't need to wear spurs and you don't need a horse, but you better ride with standards. Folks, if you haven't checked out my podcast, please do so. It's called Get Your Mind Right, and it drops every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. There's entertainment on there, there's knowledge, surprises, a few laughs, and some fun. Also, check out my blog. That's on our website. You can find it under Johnson. That drops every Monday. So, this is number 3 in our slate for the rest of the year. I hope you found this valuable and you could show up for the remainder in the fall and early this winter. And last but not least, I want to thank you for showing up and thank you for listening. My hope is that you take something from today's huddle that you can use. It's truly an honor to present these ideas to you that tie our collective futures to our inherited legacy and our shared American experience. Thank you.